You're listening to the Practical Wealth Show with Curtis May.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. And so I have an awesome guest with you today, author, teacher, real estate investing expert, Miss Edna Keep. And let me tell you a little about Edna before we bring her on the show. So Edna Keep's journey from a single mom at age 16, living in subsidized housing with a daughter in subsidized daycare to a, hear me now, multi-millionaire real estate entrepreneur and coach inspires others. Her major operations are long-term buy and hold rental apartment buildings. Her claim to fame is a $65 million real estate portfolio with using other people's money. She's a big proponent of education and inspiration. Edna offers a live training with her free real estate coaching Fridays, Monday live events on her Facebook each week. So she's got a lot of content out there. And so, and what we're going to talk about today is basically how to create a financial freedom plan versus traditional 40-year plan. So if you want to work 40 years and still retire broke, this show is not for you. Welcome to the show.
Good point.
She got to let them know, like, all right, maybe you don't want to listen to this one because I'm going to
exactly.
go back to Financial Peace University. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so I'm very silly. Don't mind me.
So much, Curtis. And I must say, I absolutely love the title of Wealth Within Wall Street because I was a former financial advisor as well, with mutual funds and stuff. And much as it was a great start, I'm glad we moved over into the real estate side. And actually, we've got multiple sources of income now, too, which I'm a big believer in because sometimes one's not working that great. So it's always nice to have more than one.
Dan Kennedy says, who's a big marketing guru, one is the worst word in business.
Yes.
And so, yeah, we like it. So I like that. I want to actually talk about that also because so our theme is Wealth Without Wall Street, right? So, and because there's another friend of mine has a show called Wealth Without Wall Street. So I'm not going to, but.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a practical wealth show, but but that's our theme, so we are, our listeners know that, okay, look guys, so what we teach is there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. There's 4 asset classes when we talk about investing: business, real estate, paper assets, and commodities. So if you're really diversified, you're in one or more of those, and not 5 or 6 stocks or funds. You're just, in my mind, shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic. So
yes.
so tell them what we're gonna have too much fun. I want to get into some content for you guys. All right, so tell them what I didn't tell them, and kind of how you kind of tell them about your journey because it's fascinating.
Okay, sure. Well, one of the biggest things, I was a single mom and I was just a C student in school. My favorite book is Robert Kiyosaki's book, Why Do A Students Work for C Students and B Students Work for the Government?
I love that book. Yeah.
That really woke me up to my strengths, Before that, I was like, I'm not that smart. I'm just like your average Joe. And then I realized where my strengths really lie. And it's not in following the traditional school type stuff. And once I allowed myself to really go there, that's when I really start to excel. So as a young person, I was always told, Edna, you got to learn to live within your means. And I hated that when people would tell me that. And I thought, no, you know what? If I'm going to learn something, I want to learn how to be rich. I don't want to learn to live within my means. That's
right.
bullshit. I didn't like that at all. So I started studying wealth. I started studying different people who had attained wealth. And it always had to be something within my realm because, Curtis, I never really thought I was very smart. So I thought, well, it's got to be something easy. But I've realized now that just because it's easy for you doesn't mean that it's not a strength. And that again was another thing that really opened my eyes. And I worked at various low level jobs like data entry and receptionist, But when I made my first big step into financial services, and I actually started with a company called Primerica, which was, you could do it part-time in my province, which was really good for me because I couldn't give up a full-time job. I had kids to look after. And so I started that, and that's where I really got my big break. And as I got into being a financial advisor.
So we have the same background, because so did I.
Oh, cool. Well, hey, Curtis, you're going to want to know this. Guess what? My daughter, just 18, she just graduated. I have her in Primerica.
Okay.
As a start, because I thought to myself, you know what, that taught me so much, learning how to sell and stuff like that. Because my background was just in admin before that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she's actually studying.
So the only thing is that it started me, all this stuff that I tell people, the skills I have now, which is selling and training and, presenting and all this stuff I use. But it also took me about, this is where you got to watch out. So if you're at Rich Dad, because what I was in, an RVP, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I said, well, what he's talking about and what we're doing are different.
It is.
And I was evangelical about it, right? And then you start to, so it took me a long time to let it go. That's the only thing I worry about when people start there. You can get your license, you can learn some skills, but I don't want to put that all out into the waves. We talk about it offline.
No. And I do agree with that. And I didn't stay there.
But she has you.
2 years.
But she has you.
Yeah.
Right.
She wants to be an entrepreneur and run her own business. And I said, that's a great start then.
Yeah.
It's a perfect start. So yeah.
I like network marketing for that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In terms of building the proper skills. And a lot of people should, as a matter of fact, you talk about this in your book. I was skimming because I think that I call it building, and I got this from Laura Langmeyer, a cash machine, right? Some entrepreneurial venture for that you can start for $300-$400 where you can learn how to make money. You can learn how to sell. You can learn how to.
This is her alternative to university, because I'm not a big believer in university skills.
Okay.
That's just a big money grab as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know, it's not my way to go anyway. So that was what we kind of.
She's lucky to have you in with that mindset. That is awesome.
Yeah. And it was a great start. And I think back on it, and when I got her in an upline too, the guy makes $600,000 a year. So, and he's 37, and he started when he was 21. So I got her in a mindset of, this is an opportunity and I can take it wherever I want to go with it. So that's kind of how we think. But so that was my start. And like I said, I didn't stay there long. 2 years later, I didn't like all the recruiting part of it. So I just went to a straight financial planner firm, and I got my financial planner designation. And I loved the work. I really did. Got very quickly started making about $250,000 a year. And I stayed roughly around there for the full 8 years I was as a financial advisor. But when I got introduced to real estate, we just thought we would just add a house or two to our, retirement plan. It wasn't about changing careers, never even give that any thought. But once we learned, and we took the Robert Kiyosaki training, paid $27,000 US I think did about 5 courses, some conventions. Best move we ever made, because it really made us understand real estate. And we started buying. And, when we went through that, we'd set a goal, 50 doors, maybe 5-10 years, didn't really matter to us. We thought that was like way out there, outrageous amount. And when we hit 50 doors in 18 months, well, I knew I had to sell my financial planning practice because it was holding me back. I could see the writing on the wall. We hit our $5,000 a month in cash flow in that 18 months. And I just knew then from there, it was just building on that was really going to take us where we wanted to go. And it was fun. It was more fun for me than being a straight financial advisor. Still worked with other people's money. So I still kind of, kept that hat on to a certain extent.
Right.
But that was where we really ended
up. Just a different asset class. I call it building a tangible asset portfolio. So if you could still have a planning mindset, but instead of using equities, you can use real estate. Focusing on growth, you focus on cash flow. Yeah.
Like we've built out, several income streams now. One new one that we're working on is an Amazon store, because I like the idea of that. That will be a passive income stream for us. We just paid our money and we'll pay a certain amount for inventory, but other people will manage it for us. And I mean, at any time we can take it over ourselves, but we don't understand that whole side of things. So we're not planning on doing that ourselves. And maybe our kids will someday. Our girls are 16 and 14, or 16 and 18. So they might take it over someday, but that's not our plan. Yeah, multiple streams.
I just had that conversation with my wife.
Did you?
And we need to, she was looking, we get a UPS franchise, because she's been going there a lot, shipping our daughter, who's at Duke, stuff. And she's like, well, this community could use one, and our kids want to be in the arts, but we need to have other businesses to kind of help them support their whatever their lifestyle choices are, and leave them something, that they can learn how to run. So it's literally just had that conversation yesterday.
We put this Amazon store in our 18-year-old daughter's name too, because so it's going to be like, it's already succession planning, right?
Yep.
Kind of stuff. Spreading out the different income streams to different family members, so that's kind of nice, and it's great for everybody. But yeah, so that's kind of my journey. Loved it. It's a fun ride. I absolutely love training people and helping them get the lights on with it doesn't have to be 40 years to retire. This, and we were kind of sold that as a financial advisor, weren't we, Curtis? Like, it's a long-term plan, 40 years.
You're in it for the long haul, buy and hold. A diversified portfolio of mutual funds.
Yeah, mutual funds.
Hope for the best, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And the returns, because I started in, I think 94, I got my mutual fund license, and the returns were really good when I started, but then after a while they got worse and worse and worse, and I didn't like that. I liked the big numbers,
Yeah, I mean, that's where in the 90s you could have thrown a dart literally at the board and everything made money. But once you start studying economics, it was making money because of the volume. Everybody was doing it. 401ks, only started in like 1980. So all the baby boomers saw all of a sudden, if money's got to go somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
And it went into stocks. So stocks went up. Don't get me started. So we're going to go into go on economic rants. But so anyway, so I'm really curious about your transition and really how you help people. So let's say my listeners listening to this and they want, and I want to talk about your other multiple streams, but they have a job and they're like, all right, I need to, I'm not going to have $2 million in a 401k, but I need that $5,000 a month. I need that, and I don't want to work. I want to do that in 5 years, 3 years, 7 years, whatever. Speak to that person and kind of how you counsel people about, how are you thinking about this? One of the things I want you to hear is that the first investment Edna made was between her 2 ears.
Yes, that is so huge, Yeah. And I still see people to this day, I can do it myself. And I understand that, especially if you go with a single family home. Like, I already own a home and I'm just going to buy another one. Who needs to teach me about that? Well, you could buy another one. There's challenges that can go with one property, but I like people to think a little bigger than that. So instead of thinking about a single family home, why don't we look at a 12-unit apartment building? You got 12 doors, one roof, 12 tenants, paying off your mortgage, which I absolutely love. And it's no harder to buy than a house. And I've had people argue with me about that. But once you know the system and you've done it once, rinse and repeat. And there's different things that happen, different financing structures come up, different lending opportunities. We deal with a lot of private money. We get vendor takebacks on most of our deals. But I want people to start thinking a little bit bigger. I call it a C-type goal. You can a goal, another house just like I already own. Big deal. 2, 3 houses, that's a B-type goal. A C-type goal is like up there. That's the stuff that's going to change your life. That's the stuff that's going to put money into your pocket immediately. Just to give you an example, I had a young lady started with me in the fall of last year. She bought and they had some experience. They'd done some fixing and flipping and stuff, but they didn't have anything as a long-term buy and hold. And so they started with me. They closed their first 12-unit building at the end of March, right in the midst of COVID. So there's a little bit of delay, but they got that building with very little of their own money, very little even investor capital. They had mostly vendor financing, and that one deal puts $3,000 a month in their pocket. One deal.
Wow.
And when we took our training, of course, most of the trainers out there talk about buying single family homes one at a time. And we were taught, if you get $50 a month in cash flow, buy it, because it's got a mortgage pay down, equity appreciation, all that sort of thing. But with multifamily, it's different. First of all, they don't look at you as the person who has to pay for everything. They look at the building. So the building has to work. The building has to make sense. The numbers have to work for the building. You're actually buying a business when you buy a multifamily. And it's got to be treated like a business from day one. But to me, that's the biggest thing right there. Stop thinking about a single family home. And with that said, I generally don't work with brand new beginners who don't have at least some real estate background, because I don't want to teach all the basics. But if you can stretch your mindset and think about working in multifamily, I've taken 19-year-old kids straight out of school to 72 units within a year and a half of working with me. They were still living at home with their parents. And when they were calling to get utilities put in their name, the utility companies couldn't even wrap their heads around it. It's going like you bought an apartment? Like one apartment, like a condo, they're thinking, right?
Right.
Oh no, I bought the whole building. What? Stuff like that. But
That's
you don't know
awesome.
the house. No, I live with my parents. So absolutely it can happen even for beginners, but you got to have a mindset that, you're going to listen, first of all, to how you do it, but you have to take the training to make it happen.
I like how you said that it's a system. So it starts with a mindset. It's the difference between 1 and 12 is just the zeros.
That's all it is.
And it's not based on your credits. That's what people can't get their mind around. It's like, well, I don't have enough money. This costs $500,000. I don't have, $100,000 down payment or what have you. And if I'm hearing you correct, that's not what they need, how they need to be thinking.
They have to change their thinking. And that's first. And that's what I'm really good at, helping people do that. Because you know what? I went from not understanding real estate at all to 50 doors in 18 months. And we partnered with the right people. We took their education, first of all, and we partnered with the right people that took a lot of our fear away. Because fear is a big thing to hold you back. Oh, there's all these things that can go wrong. So I teach you how to think that, what if it went right? What if it went right? And that's the 3 to 5 year plan. So I have students right now, another fellow just started with me in the fall. He's on his 4th building. And he's taken possession of 2, at 11 unit and a 9 unit. And he's working on a 12 unit and another 16. And it's a mindset shift. And it wasn't until they wrapped their head around that they moved out of the single family home. And so with those 4 deals, so by the end of this year, which he'll have been with me for 1 full year, his cash flow will be, let me just think for a second, 3 for 1, 4 for the second. The other one's a really small deal, I think. And plus he's partnering with somebody else. So we'll make 2 on that. And then the last one will probably be another 4. So what's 4 and 3 and 4 and 2? 7 and 6, 13,000 a month he's going to be making within a year of starting.
Wow.
That doesn't include his acquisition fees, because I also believe that every building you buy, you should get a 1% acquisition fee as well.
Come on now.
So there's your plan. Does not have to be 5 years.
So we are hearing this. You need to get some. So let me ask you this. One thing I just want to make sure that we clarify, because you said a couple times vendor financing. Explain to them what that is.
So a vendor is the seller. So a lot of
Okay.
times the seller.
That's what I thought, but I wanted to hear, I wanted you to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that. So thanks for pointing that out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the vernacular. You get so used to using it.
Right.
And just to, again, back to the example I gave you about Amanda that started with me in the fall. She was able to get, I believe, 10%, no, 13.5% vendor financing. She was able to get 85% lender financing. Had to put in very little of her own money and owns that building 100%. So that's really key as well, because vendors will finance their own buildings. Some people who are looking at, selling one to buy another, no. But lots of our target market is people who they need to get out for a reason. Lots of them are aging, might be a death in the family, a divorce, something like that. And those are the ones that will generally hold the finance.
So explain that. See, why would they? Because most people are under the impression that, no, they want all of their money now. I want cash. I want whatever. And so why would they help you buy their apartment building?
Well, first of all, they can generally get a better deal, so maybe a little bit more money. The other thing is most of these real estate investors, Curtis, don't want to invest anywhere else. Like, what are they going to do? Take their money and put it out of take it out of the real estate they've been dealing with for 30 years that made them a really good living, go put it in the stock market? No. The only other choice is putting it in a term deposit or something that earns them a couple percent. So we generally pay anywhere from 4 to 6% return on the vendor financing with the plan that when we refinance in 5 years or whatever, we'll fully pay them out. And they like that, because then they've also got a steady stream of income from their own building that they already know and love and know that the numbers work. Because we couldn't even buy it if the numbers didn't work, right?
So you're solving a problem for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I want you to hear. So you're not taking advantage of people. These people are investors, they understand the game. And some people, they don't even need or want all the money because it's better for them from a tax standpoint to not take it all at one time if they don't want to, put it into something else right away. So they'd rather get cash flow.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
can't eat equity. You need cash.
Yeah.
You just gotta what I call drain the tank. You just gonna live off of the money because you can't get any yields anywhere. So if you can get them,
so why not your own building? And guess what? If anything goes wrong, they get their building back. So they're not going to let it. There's no downside. They already ran the building for sometimes 20, 30 years. They know the building inside and out. But a lot of people mistake when they hear that, Curtis, then they think, okay, well, I'm going to go get vendor financing, and they don't do it right, because it's got to be done right too. I've been approached by people, well, you hold all the financing, I've never done this before. You hold all the financing and I'll do this. Yeah, no, people won't do that either.
Right.
They have to know that you know what you're doing. And that doesn't come by you having a conversation with them saying, hey, you want to hold the financing. You need to build that relationship with them. And so you don't start the conversation by asking the seller if he wants to finance the property.
Right.
And that's
right. See, part of the skills, and this is why I think you learn when you learn some selling stuff, you've got to learn how to talk to people and negotiate. Although it's really not negotiation, you just have to ask questions, which agree and listen, and they'll you figure out what the problem is and figure out how to solve their problem. So you have to go with a service heart.
Yes.
And not be a shark is what I'm hearing.
Part of what I was saying was that, lots of people, they go in because they get the concept, okay? They understand it. They maybe listen to a podcast like this and they understand it and they, oh, well, that's the key. Well, I'm just going to ask every vendor before I, do anything. I'm just going to get them on the phone and I'm going to ask them for a vendor take back. And that very seldom works. Very, very, very seldom works. And if you don't do it in the right order at the right time with the right intention, you're not going to make that happen either.
Right. A lot of people struggle with, well, how do I find, this is the question. So commercials, anything over 5 units, right? So 5, 10, 12. So you're not, it's like 12 15, 20, where I've had people on the show talk about buying 147 unit, but these seems to be a little bit under the radar, but very profitable. How
They are,
help
yes.
you begin to source those type of deals and, attract, or who you network with to begin to get, in the game is a question.
We've got most of our deals privately. So it's about networking a big time. But we've also got a lot of our deals through MLS realtors.
Really?
So, that's all part of it, like building out. One of the first, we bought 144 units, one of our first big deals back in 2012. And it came to us through a realtor. And you know what? It was a charity that was selling it. So the owner had built it in a time when the government helped with, financing and stuff, because it really needed places there, and there was government grants and stuff. Then when they passed on, they gifted it to a charity, and then the charity just didn't want the work involved, because there's a management part of it, and charities aren't always equipped. So we bought it from a charity, and so sometimes that happens. Lots of times it's word of mouth. Another big deal that we got a couple years ago was 40 units. Somebody that I networked with in a networking group out of Alberta, he was approached by somebody who had been told that he was buying buildings, and he said, yeah, but he says, that's not really my area. But he said, I think that's Edna's area. Why don't I have her give you a call? And that's how that deal happened. And then 2 deals recently that I'm helping students buy came to us out of that deal, because he introduced us to another couple, and somebody else reached out and said, hey, I heard you bought something in our area. My dad is, he's got to look at selling soon. He's like in his 70s. Would you guys be interested in another one? And that's kind of how it works. And the other thing is asking everybody, asking every realtor to look for you, asking every, telling people, like your friends, your Facebook friends, hey, I'm getting into the apartment building world. If you ever know of anybody who's selling, shoot them my way. And then, of course, you really do need to know what to say, because if you don't nail those first few conversations, you could scare away a lot of where a deal could happen. But if you don't know what you're talking about and you don't know what to say, then you're not going to get the deal done, or get the deal in a lot of cases too.
Right. So it goes back to education, having a partner. One of the things I've gleaned from the show and interviewing really brilliant people like yourself, is that investing, and I heard this, and we've all heard this from Kiyosaki, investing is a team sport.
It is. And
when you're doing multi-family, it's not really about you, it's about your team. Kiyosaki has Ken McElroy, and they've got his whole team that invests. So they're all of a sudden, you're going to beat out the solo, rugged individualist, because you've got a brain trust, you've got a team.
Exactly. And you know what, even to qualify for regular financing, you have to have a team. They need to know that you've got a professional property manager in place, unless you've got lots of experience. Like, we're at the point where we don't need to, but when we started out, we had to have a professional property manager in place in order for them to, take a chance on us. So that's something else too.
So she has a great book called Multiple Ways. Wait a minute, what's the title? Whole title. I'm on Kindle right now. Multiple Ways to Wealth, Creating Your Prosperous. Here's the key: lifestyle. Right. And so lifestyles come from cash flow. So did you build kind of so you went from financial advising business to real estate, and then you've started adding on other stuff once you had that going? What is your thought process in that, and maybe give them an idea of some of the other things you do and teach?
Sure. So one of the things that I find is, people, when they first start looking into the education, it's like a squirrel. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Oh, that one looks easier than this one. So they keep doing all education, education. They don't learn the system, work the system, make some money before they move on.
Yes.
They and that's a challenge. I actually had a student say to me one time, after showing up for 3 classes and not even sending any homework assignments, frankly, I thought I'd own a building by now. And I go, yeah, how? By osmosis? You
Right.
have to do the work.
Right.
You have to set your vision. You have to meet your power team. You have to, there's steps you have to take. If you're not willing to do that, then you're always looking for shiny objects and you'll never get anywhere. So first of all is to pick one strategy
Mm-hmm.
and go with it. And if it's not working for you, let it go. I know when we started out, we didn't know what strategy to use. So we checked out wholesaling, we checked out lease options, we checked out land development, property management, we checked it all. But my favorite class was creative financing. And that's where I really find that, if once you learn enough, then you can pick your strategy, but you have to learn it inside and out to make money.
Yeah.
Then from there, you can start adding in the creative portions and your, the partners, and you can start doing advanced strategies. Like we have apartment building that we run a few Airbnbs out of, like different stuff like that. But if you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, you're not going to get anywhere. So pick a strategy, learn it inside and out, and then add one. So not running around.
I like that distinction. And I want you to keep going. I just want to throw in, because one of the things that we talk about, I have a video on YouTube called The 3 Rules of Investing. And one of the things we're trying to get people to understand, you just really clearly articulated that investing is about becoming something. It's not about buying something. Edna is an expert. She became an expert because she invested, what y'all hear me say all the time, your number one asset is you. You got to invest your mindset, your skill set. And she said it, your network. Okay, because y'all, I just want to, and I say this every week, every other week, I'm throwing this out there. So I want to, and we didn't rehearse this. She just, boom, winners win for a reason.
Yes.
Okay, and mindset, skill set, network, and then you've got to focus on your main thing. And one of the things my dad always told me, it takes like he said, with 2 to 3 years to build a business, to get in. The founder of the company we both started in used to say, you got to give your efforts time to compound. And most people
absolutely
move
on
too quickly. I did learn some really good stuff there on business philosophy.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And yes, tell them about the book, how they can get in touch with you to find out more, how to learn from you.
So one of my favorite ways for people to check me out, because I love Facebook Lives. People can get a chance to see if I resonate with them at all. And I do on Facebook, it's facebook.com, Coach Edna Keep. And they can find me that way, become my friend. They can follow me. I do lots of free stuff. And I also offer it's like a masterclass where I really tell my whole story and help them understand why we chose multifamily as our main strategy. Mm-hmm. And that's there's a link on my website, or I can even give it to you for your audience. If they watch that and it's something that resonates with them, then I have a strategy call with them and just see if it's a fit, because it's not a fit for everybody. They need to have the right mindset and they need to be willing to put in the time. One of the questions I ask are you willing to put in the time? Because it's going to take you 5 to 10 hours a week to learn my system over a 12-week period. And if you're not, then there's probably no point doing it, because I don't I want success stories. I love working with people who are doing the work. And, I make myself available. When people are working on a live deal, sometimes I'm talking to them one-on-one 3-4 times a week, because there's stuff that's happening. They don't want to wait for our group call. They don't want to wait till, whenever stuff's happening, they got to make it happen. So, those are the ways to find out. Follow me on Facebook. You'll be able to see if what I talk about interests you. Watch the masterclass, which I'll also send you a link, and then book a strategy call from there if it's something that you want to explore further.
That is awesome. Yeah. So when you send me that, you can give it, but we're going to put in the show notes. But if it's like a link, you can talk. I'll make sure that they'll hear it. They might be able to do it from their phone or how they're listening to this. But then we'll definitely put it in the show notes. Do you want to say it?
Yeah, it's go.oncehub.com/Edna Keep. And that's how they book a call with me. The masterclass is ednakeep.com. 90 days to 5K.
Okay. There we look. Right now, y'all should call it just based on that.
Yeah.
Okay, because where can you do that? Who's giving that training? Okay, what plan is out there? But again, it's about you becoming something. You got to find a coach. She's got a simple system that works, guys. The fruit is on her tree. Matter of fact, she was making money before she started doing this. Okay, and that's what you want. Somebody that is walking the talk. You know, Kiyosaki's book, it's got fake, right? Fake teachers. And Edna's doing this stuff, and it does work. You're based in Canada, but you've got U.S. students. It doesn't really matter, right?
Yes, and we just purchased 80 units in Memphis, Tennessee, and we got another 140, I think, under contract. We should be taking possession of any day. So yeah, we buy both places.
Okay, I always think of stuff I think people are thinking. So it's like, no.
Good point. Good question.
Yeah. And anything I didn't ask you that I should ask you that you want to get out?
I don't think so. I think we covered it all. I really love your topic. It makes so much sense to me. There's too many people stuck in that 40-year plan, and we got to help them change it, don't we?
Got to get them out. You got to be called a cash flow nair, right?
Exactly.
And so our goal as a cash flow nair is I like your 3 to 5 year thing. It's passive income twice your expenses. I want you to eliminate what I call your non-preferred debt. And then we want to build a legacy of wealth and wisdom and build a bulletproof financial game plan that will help them thrive in both good times and bad, right? And so in bad times, she's closed on apartment buildings and her students have closed on apartment buildings. As we record this, we're still in the midst of the COVID. So you can still get things done. It goes back to what's going on between your 2 ears.
Yeah. I had 3 students close in between March and April. So yeah, it didn't matter.
All right. Listen, Edna, thank you so much for dropping these knowledge bombs on our listeners today. So y'all make sure y'all reach out to her. Tell them you heard her on the Practical Wealth Show. So I wanted you to know, all right, our audience is responsive.
Yes.
Listen, thank you so much, guys. I want you to go out there and, be intentional, have a prosperous mindset, and you must go to work. Okay. Because if you don't have a plan, you're part of somebody else's plan. Okay. And their plan for you is not for you to become financially independent. So you
might be an A student working for a C student.
That's right. Or B student work for the government, right? So be a C student. C student means capitalist, right?
That's right. Usually.
Students, MBAs, and B students are bureaucrats, right? And so be a capitalist. Okay, that's what I'm trying to teach our kids. Be a capitalist. So Edna, thank you so much. If we get some people on there, I want to come back and we'll do a success story. Hopefully one of our listeners have called you, and I want to do a success story. So
that's awesome. Okay, right. For sure.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Curtis.
All right, you're welcome.
Thanks for listening to Practical Wealth. To access the show notes and resources, go to practicalwealthshow.com. To get your questions on the show, go to practicalwealthshow.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before you make any investment decisions, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Practical Wealth. Written permission must be granted.